Our next lecture has to do about distribution. Now we've gone through the first two P's, and last time we talked about product development. For example, why around cemeteries is a part of their product feature do they set up fences? Well, it's because people are dying to get in. Ba-da-da-boom. Okay, yes, I needed to give you a dose of my superior sense of humor. But anyway, going back to distribution, it's probably one of the more less glamorous P's that people don't think about, but it's extremely important. It's how you touch the customer. Why do they call it place? Well, it's catchier than calling it 3P1D, which sounds like a Star Wars character. But anyway, the fundamental is any time you have a distribution issue, think about, okay, this is how I touch the customer. From beginning to end, support for life. And the question all about distribution revolves around is how do you manage it? You have to pick the right channels, the right way, and also how do you support and make it run? What a channel is basically all those things, the set of organizations, that affect how you deliver your product. How do you make it available for consumption? And there are things more than just moving things from point A to point B. It's also how do you disseminate information? How are you going to do customer support? And there are very few companies that do everything. Maybe huge companies, but many companies outsource certain things. For example, customer support, call centers, things like that. We're just going to outsource this. We don't want to own that sort of thing. The thing is, distribution can be really complex between your verticals and your horizontals, and and you can have very large conflicts. And your horizontals are basically different ways you can do one thing. For example, delivering a product. I can have my own trucks. I could do it by trains. I could outsource it to carriers. And your verticals are all the different steps that define your distribution. And naturally, you get competition between them. And so how do you maintain control over all these details and everything? And this is why supply chain management. The thing about your channels and your goals is, do you want it to be direct, indirect? Is it physical or is it digital? And you think, well, why on earth would I deliver it indirectly? Well, if I have a food product and it's a gourmet product and I put it in Trader Joe's, I'm selling it indirectly. I'm not directly touching the customer. And so you have to decide. On the other hand, I trust Trader Joe's that they're going to promote it properly. And so the thing is, they can touch a lot more customers if I try to sell it digitally. Think of it as a conduit. And so what also has to take place within a channel is that there has to be a way to transact. How do they go about making purchases or whatever? So I have a channel like YouTube. If on YouTube I'm just showing a video for information, that's not technically a distribution channel. That's a promotion channel because I can't transact business. And so what is my dream channel? How do I have the right set of services at the lowest price? And what changes channels? Well, how do my customers want things delivered? Like, for example, for many, many years, and actually decades, people liked ordering from the Sears catalog and getting it mailed to them. Then the internet came along, and all that went away. The impact of distribution is it defines my communication, how I manage my long-term commitments, what's the viability of my long-term planning, and also how does it affect the other marketing mix elements. And is distribution a big part of my strategic advantage, or maybe it isn't? Again, food products. If I'm in the right stores, yes, it could be a huge advantage. If I'm just in any other store, well, maybe not. The thing is, it impacts my value proposition, what compliments I want to bring on board, and also in terms of communication. how do I want to communicate to my customer? Uh, in terms of analyzing channel elements, yeah, there are lots of different pieces. And one is governance. Who owns it and what's the agreement? Structure, is it going to be direct or indirect in terms of coverage? And that's that it depends on what kind of product do I have. If I have intensive coverage, like I'm selling plastic cups, now we're getting into logistics because I got, how many millions or billions of plastic cups are sold every year. And so now I'm interested more in logistics, and so that's intensive coverage. Selective coverage is like a brand shop that I have something specific going to specific places. And exclusive is like specialty goods and luxury goods, like selling a BMW or something like that. And so the way I get coverage, maybe I don't need a lot of coverage if I have an exclusive product. And the question is do I need intermediaries? Anytime I have middlemen, actually it drives the price off, but sometimes middlemen help me. In terms of channel elements, it's still about richness and reach. Middlemen can save me money or lose me money. And so, for example, selling cars take up a lot of space. This is why I like, something. If I'm Ford, maybe I have somebody like Texer and Hart sell my cars. I just don't want the headache of having to create my own dealerships. And this is where, and that's what car dealers are. They are actually part of the distribution channel. And so the thing is, how you serve the customer determines your stability. And so the thing is, Circuit City, those stores didn't do a good job. They went under. And so now a lot of those companies have to think about, okay, well, Circuit City's gone. And especially companies that had exclusive deals with Circuit Cities, what are they going to do? And then finally, how do you align your channel according to what your goods are? For example, you don't see too many luxury brands in Walmart. This is why the Nordstroms and companies like that have survived, but the middlemen like Macy's are in a lot of trouble right now. In terms of how I go about choosing a channel, I have to understand my end user. How do they want their product delivered? How do they like to get their information? Like, for example, one thing I don't like about Amazon right now is it's really hard to talk to anybody in Amazon. They have all these FAQs and everything else. It's like, I just want to send you a message. You have to think about how much it's going to cost you to go ahead and have that channel. And so the thing is, I want to do it for the right price. So the thing is, in terms of distribution, the flow of it starts out of manufacturing, and it could be physical or digital. In terms of transactions, I could do it through resellers. In terms of support, do my manufacturers take care of it? Like if something goes wrong, send it back to the manufacturer. And that's why a lot of stores, it's like, we're going to take the first 3 months, but after that, no, you're under warranty. And reselling. Basically, reselling is, no, you're not selling a used again. Reselling refers to is going about and selling other features and other things, and actually also going ahead. Reselling is basically about middlemen selling your product. And so here's what the vertical and the horizontals look like. So I manufacture it, I sell it, I support it, and I resell it. Meaning, do I have middlemen? Am I selling it directly? If I'm selling it indirectly, then I have middlemen. And so the things you have to take into consideration is how much do I own? What are my trade-offs? And how do I go about managing it? In terms of the landscape, this is what it all kind of boils down to when you think about a channel. In terms of logistics and information, how do I want that handled? How am I handling my verticals and my horizontals? Manufacturers versus distributors, they fight. Manufacturers, for example, like Intel, they're into your customer's customer. They want more say. Some manufacturers don't care. A lot of manufacturers, again, get put on with support. And then it comes down to power and control. Do you give up power so that they can figure out, like if something goes wrong, it's like, oh no, I've given up all my power to my manufacturer. But the thing is, if you give up power, you also give up control. And so if you find out in that service that they're being really rude to your customers, that may not necessarily be a good thing. So you're concerned about service, who's involved, your principals, and how you're going to manage the situation. The thing is, when you look at channels, you're thinking more than just about money. You're also thinking, yes, financial is a big consideration, but you're also thinking about in terms of sales and marketing. Do these channels support your brand? What is it doing about richness and reach? By using this channel, how much is it going to cost me to continue to retain my customers? For example, if I have a reseller who's really focused on supporting me and promoting me, then that makes my customer retention costs a lot easier. On the other hand, if they don't, it's going to make it a lot greater. And also in terms of the strategy of my company, how does it affect how I can go up against competition? Or are they working with my competition? That's something I need to take into account. So in terms of information, and information is a very big part. How do I inform my customer? Do I want to be the primary? And not only that, but certain products require training, demonstrations, in terms of quality assurance and personalization. What is logistics about? The other side of information is logistics of my product, and that's basically how do I transport it, how do I store it. And so that has to do about variety and order size and how quickly can you make that available. And so we'll wrap up the rest of this conversation about distribution in the next video.